My client Trevor just hit his first 30K month with 6K in monthly profit in his first 152 days selling on Amazon. 1 week before he joined my program, he said he didn't even know the Amazon FBA business model existed. He said he thought it was just a couple of brands and Amazon selling everything. Watched 1 or 2 videos, jumped into the program. 5 months later, he has built a full-time income online. Guys, it doesn't matter how new you are. It doesn't matter if you've watched 1 YouTube video about Amazon FBA. If you're serious about building this business, the mentorship program has delivered result after result, regardless of experience level. He is not the first person that I've taken from literally no knowledge whatsoever, probably significantly less knowledge than you watching this, and have been able to get him to a 10K month, and in this case, a 30K month. Full-time income. Very excited for you guys to watch this interview. He drops a lot of gems in here about going from arbitrage to wholesale and how to make wholesale actually successful. Can't wait for you guys to watch it. Let's get into it.
So, I mean, I've been in, I guess, the corporate world doing door-to-door sales, actually. That's where I started as an intern in college way back in the day. Built that up, moved up in the company quite a bit, and now I'm doing solar for door-to-door. And it's a great industry. I loved it, but for anybody who knows anything about the solar industry, it's a little questionable, right? Every now and then, different politician comes in, they change something up, and we could be out of a job. Financer goes out of business, and all of a sudden your paycheck doesn't come, right? So I just wanted to kind of diversify my income as much as possible. And I wanted something that I could do on the side and build up slowly over time and have it be an income replacement if the time ever came where I needed it. And that's kind of what sparked interest in Amazon. That's what made me go that direction and stumble across some of your videos.
And how much have you done? Like, what's your highest rolling 30 days?
Rolling 30 days, close to 28,000 this month. I'll finish right over 25.
Nice. And then how much of that is profit?
Oh, this month was probably my best ROI month. That was about 5,400 in profit.
Wow. So you're doing really, really well. Like, you're doing great numbers. And I know you're doing you have your full-time gig. So I wanted to ask, like, how much harder do you think it would have been for you to figure out this business that you're doing on the side if you were just relying off of like YouTube and whatever information you can get your hands on and not join the program?
It comes down to a time question at that point, right? How much time do you want to spend going through 1 million+ YouTube videos to formulate a plan on how to take action? That's exactly why I went ahead and I dove in and I got your course. I like that it was kind of laid out for me, like, hey, follow these steps. This is how you get started. And I mean, in the last 5 months, I was able to take it from 0 in sales to over 25K in rev for the month.
And you have no experience with Amazon FBA, e-commerce, something like that.
Dude, I bought your course about maybe a week after I found out that it wasn't just companies and Amazon on Amazon. I thought it was just like brand direct to Amazon or Amazon themselves selling us stuff.
That is even more impressive. So 5 months, you went from I didn't even know this was even an industry or possibility to full-time income, essentially, where you're at right now, which is, dude, that's even more impressive. I didn't know that. Let's kind of dive into your journey so far. I'm assuming that it wasn't all a perfect road, right? Like the linear path to growth. Like I know we talked in the DMs a little bit. I was looking back at our conversation. You made some cheap mistakes, which is good. But kind of walk me through some of the mistakes that you've made throughout the journey.
Dude, one mistake that jumps up out at me. In one of your videos, you talk about don't go deep on a product on your first ever experience with that product, right? Like test it out first, dip your toes in, and then jump in if it's good. I was like, dude, I know what I'm doing. Marvin doesn't know. I got this. This is a good product. I bought 50 units. It was it was probably like my second or third purchase. And the pricing tanked on it. It wasn't good. It was a seasonal demand. And I didn't realize that I was looking at a Keepa that showed really high demand in December, and that demand always died down going into these last few months. It was just a rookie mistake, and I'm almost sold out of them at a break even, so I'm happy I'm getting my money back on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, that was a mistake. It was like, cool, you're going to take one on the chin every now and then.
I know we started you with arbitrage, so even 50 units with arbitrage is not terrible. I mean, I don't know how expensive the product was, but I'm like, it's manageable, right? Like that's
Yeah.
why I kind of want you guys to start with arbitrage if you have no experience, because it's like you can really minimize that risk. Because in wholesale, dude, it can easily
There's no
be
returns, right?
there's no returns. It could easily be $5, $10, $15,000 purchase order. And you're like, now I'm out of that money. I have to figure out another way to sell it.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I'm definitely glad I started with arbitrage. I think that was the way to go. There were some other bad purchases here and there. You know, you bought it from like Kohl's or a Walmart, something. It was really easy to go back and be like, "Oh, I screwed up. I'm gonna have to give this one back," you know? But yeah, arbitrage is definitely the way to go. I wouldn't recommend dumping right into wholesale personally, especially if you have something else that you're doing full time.
Yeah, you just want to build up that experience, which sounds like you are because you just started going into wholesale recently, right?
I have two wholesale accounts now. They've been fruitful. It's nice to get a big part of your spend goal out of the way with just a couple orders from a few places.
Yeah, it definitely beats ripping like multiple orders on a website, getting past order cancels, which there's always a way, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's no comparison to how fast you can get products.
right. Yeah, if you could just go in and you can spend five, six, 10 grand on a single order, it it takes it from something where you're sitting at the computer grinding consistently to cool, I can just make this purchase, and I'm good for the month.
Kind of walk me through like how did you transition from arbitrage into wholesale? And I don't know if you remember in the program, I kind of talk about a lot of times people go from arbitrage and they're like, hey, let me go switch gears to wholesale because I made arbitrage successful and they end up killing their business in the process. Can you just kind of talk about like how you were able to do that successfully?
Dude, actually, I took your advice. My wife makes fun of me all the time. I'm kind of like a extreme, like all or nothing kind of guy. So if I'm like, all right, I'm going wholesale, I have a tendency to just never look back and just dive full force, right? And you messaged me and you're like, dude, keep your online arbitrage business going. You're making money off of it. It's building. Slowly go into wholesale, and that's exactly what I did. I focused on finding just a couple good wholesale distributors that I can work with. And I still kept my spend goal the same on the arbitrage. So I tried to be very intentional with it, right? I knew that I didn't want to have all of my money going into wholesale. I wanted to keep, 60, 70% of it in online arbitrage. And I earmarked it for that. And that's what I spent it on. And then the other, 30, 40% that I set aside was specifically for wholesale.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Like you mentioned, like the slower strategy, just ease your way into it because I think not only do you make quick mistakes if you just like, hey, let me just abandon what's already working. Like I think that's a mistake already. But like financially, yeah, you can make some mistake, but I think also mentally it kind of messes with you where you're like, I was already doing well, I was already building momentum. Now I switched over to wholesale, which is supposed to be like way better and now I'm not getting any momentum and the part of my business that was making me money is dying. So then you start going down this spiral of like I'm
Yeah.
everything's going under, like what am I going to do? And then you end up reverting back and it just becomes a whole like mind game at that point. And I'm sure you probably like kind of got some inspiration from some of the things that you were already sourcing to kind of dig into wholesale, fair to
That's
say.
exactly what it was. In fact, it was my big mover this month was an item that I got wholesale that I had found on sale for online arbitrage. Couldn't find that same sale, and I was like, dude, all right, this is going to be the one. I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to find this one in wholesale. I found a distributor and ended up buying everything he had in stock. And I was like, dude, let's go.
I think that is so underrated. Like most people don't even think of that. They're just like, well, I just got to Google distributors or I got to look for brands. And it's like, well, you already have like a great launching pad if you build up your arbitrage business. And it's like, I think it's the most underrated launching pad to build up your arbitrage business, sell a shit ton of different brands, and then be like, all right, well, which one of these can I go get an account with? And then it just becomes a conversation on price because you go to the supplier and you're like, hey, essentially, I already have experience with selling this product. I already know I can sell it well, and I already know what price I need it for. And it's a completely different conversation than going to the supplier and just saying, I need a wholesale account, essentially.
It really does change the vibe of that conversation. You're able to come into it and be much more of a professional when you're looking for a very specific brand, a very specific product, right? It kind of gives you some leverage in that negotiation.
Because I'm sure you dealt with some rejection when you were reaching out to suppliers. And I think that's like one of the biggest things that people are scared of when they're going into wholesale. Like, what kind of advice can you give somebody starting out brand new that just kind of mentally gets them past that rejection? Because I know you're in sales, so people, and
Yeah.
I didn't in the beginning, but I'm like, people in sales, like they always make it work just because they're almost like immune to the word no because of just the nature of the job, but kind of like some advice on overcoming that and where to kind of look to get a little bit more fruit from your effort.
Yeah, man. That's a great question. It's something we deal with all the time in the sales world and for guys that are trying to dive into wholesale. I guess what I would say is if you're struggling with that and if you're struggling with the fear of rejection, you need to detach yourself from the result. Obviously, the goal is you want to get a wholesale account landed, right? Of course, that's why you're doing the work. But you got to detach yourself from the pressure of every call I make is going to result in either a yes or a no. And just focus on making the calls, finding the distributors, making the calls, give yourself a goal of how many people you're going to call on a daily basis. And who cares if they tell you no? Because at one point, you're going to get lucky and you're going to find somebody who's going to say yes. And then you build off of it from there.
Dude, I love that answer. That is so good because I think the mistake that a lot of people make is that they they start calling suppliers and they say, "No, I don't want to work with you." And instead of being like, "Okay, they just don't want to work with me. I'm going to move on to the next one. No big deal." It's like they don't want to work with me. Something's wrong with me. I'm saying something wrong. I'm dumb. I'm this, I'm that. And they build it up so much in their head that they have this goal of I'm going to go contact 50 suppliers and they get through 3 and then they can't take it anymore. So I think that's, dude, I think that's gold. I
It,
gotta
yeah,
add
man. If you call 50 suppliers and you have the worst pitch in the world, your pitch is, hey, I want to buy this thing from you. That's all you say to them. You call 50 of them, one of them's going to be like, sure, give me your credit card information, right? Like, that's really what it comes down to.
100%. Like I remember when I first started and I was diving into wholesale, dude, I would straight up say, I'm an Amazon seller and I had no experience in this world whatsoever. And I'm like, I still got plenty of accounts. It's like you just have to get past the ones that are going to tell you no, but exactly like you said, somebody's going to tell you yes. If you hit the phones enough, somebody is going to tell you yes. And that's all you need. You don't need 100 yeses. You just realistically, you just need one or two, and then you could
Yeah,
be off to the races.
absolutely.
What are some of like the biggest challenges that you faced in the beginning with growth? Just like because I know you're moving along really quickly now, but there's usually like a inflection point where it's like we're going really slow, and then something happened, and then we kind of took off.
Yeah, so for me, it was I wanted to see it work, right? And that was another thing you kind of said from your course, like start with your goal, like pretty low, right? For lack of a better term. Like start at like, dude, I'm gonna get $100 in sales, then I'm gonna get $1,000 in sales and move it up from there. And that's what I wanted to see at first. I wanted to see like I buy these products, I sell them in, I want to see the profit. I want to understand that it does work before I invest more money into it, right? And then after that, once I got to the point where I was comfortable upping my spend goal every month, it was about having an iron stomach for me, right? Because FBA isn't overnight. It's not like a get rich quick scheme, right? It's like you're going to buy the product, you got to wait for it to get to your house, you got to send it into FBA, then you got to wait for them to check it in, and then it's got to sell before you can even think about getting paid, right? And so you go and you spend 10 grand on something and you sit there on your app all day. It becomes a new addiction, right? Instead of scrolling on Instagram, you're just refreshing your Amazon app to see what your sales look like for the day. And so for me, it was getting comfortable having that iron stomach to spend more money and just know that like Amazon has however many million of people on their site every day. Like it's gonna sell as long as you did the work on the front end to buy the right thing, right? Just being comfortable in that.
Yeah, I think if you just read the data halfway decently, the chance of you selling out is pretty good, unless you just bought the worst product in the world and it just sells one time a year. Like the chance of it selling is pretty strong. Like, yeah, the price might go down here and there, but you're gonna recoup your money.
I mean, dude, case in point, that first really bad sell that I told you about, like I'm almost sold out of it. I recouped my money. It's not a big deal in the whole scheme of things, but yeah, I was stressed at first, right? When I was seeing it not sell and the price tank on me, I was like, oh, I screwed up. I'm going bankrupt. It's not going to work, you know? Our minds have a tendency to go to a really negative place really quick, and you got to constantly redirect that.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that's why the whenever I do like those real talk videos on YouTube, they do really well because a big part of this is exactly what you just said. It's all a mind game. Like 50 units is not going to bankrupt you, right? 50 unit bad purchase is not going to bankrupt you, but in the heat of the moment, it's like, oh shit, this doesn't work. It's not going to sell. I'm not going to make my money back, and then you turn this problem into this big problem if you don't have if you don't keep your mind in check. But one thing that I want to touch on was what you mentioned about getting like more comfortable with bigger purchases and stuff like that. I think that's another benefit to starting with arbitrage because it's really easy to be like, hey, let me go buy 5, 10 units, even 20 units, no big deal, a couple $100, and then you just see it work, you get your money, and then you're like, okay, this works. I can start building more and more momentum. Then if you dive into wholesale, you're like, well, shit, I haven't even made my first sale. I'm not even sure if this is real. I don't really want to spend $5,000 on this for my first purchase.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. I think my first ever purchase, I spent maybe $100, right? And even that was like a little nerve-wracking, for the first thing you're ever buying. I can't even imagine if I was trying to dive into a $5,000 purchase.
Yeah, my first purchase was dog food bowls, and
Okay.
it was like $30. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was nervous about it. Like I was like, holy shit, I'm about to lose all my money. But yeah, once you see it sell, then you're like, okay, well, this is real. Like the proof of concept is number one win. And I think you get so much faster momentum and faster wins with arbitrage. Not to steer anybody away from wholesale. I think wholesale is great, but there's just a natural progression that
Yeah.
makes it much easier for the average person who doesn't want to put a ton of risk on day one.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, I originally got into your course because I liked the idea of wholesale, and I'm glad that I took the advice and I went with arbitrage first. I think it made a world of difference on my ability to do this, find some quick success, and like, dude, I'm going to be selling on Amazon for years. Like, this is just going to get bigger and bigger, right? Um, I don't know if I would be here today if I dove into wholesale, made one bad purchase, and I'm like, I got to get back to knocking doors, right? Like I can't, I got to make some money to recover from this.
Yeah, it's just a harder pill to swallow when you start a new business and then you lose a shit ton of money. Like I stopped a
Yeah.
guy a couple of months ago, and I was like, dude, just trust me, just start with arbitrage. You have no experience, like just trust me. And he didn't, and he was like, okay, can you check out this wholesale order, dude? It was a $34,000 wholesale order, and luckily we stopped him from purchasing it, and because I was like, one, pretty sure that supplier is not real. I was like, and if it is, pretty sure those goods are not real. So luckily we stopped them. But yeah, it would. I mean, imagine you start a brand new business venture. You're like, I'm out 30K right from the get go.
Yeah,
It's like,
right out of the gate.
yeah, it's like chances of you sticking around, not very strong. So if anybody's watching this interview and they're on the fence about joining the program, what would you have to say to them? Would you recommend the program? Kind of give me some of your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. The big thing for me is I'm very price cautious, right? Your program is priced at a point where it shouldn't be deterring anybody from doing it. Other programs out there, 5, 6, 10 grand, right, to get going. And I have some buddies that did those other things, and we kind of compare like our experiences in both. And I would say my experience with you having an on-demand program the way you have it was night and day difference, right? Their experience is I'm just going to jump into a Zoom call once a week and get rattled at for a little bit, and then I'm on my own. With you, between the community and then the on-demand coursework, to me that was a big difference, especially working a full-time job. I could do it whenever I wanted, right? If I needed to go in at midnight and get a few lessons knocked out, that's what I would do. And that was a big difference for me. There's that side of the coin, and then the other side of the coin is I didn't even know Amazon was a thing. I really needed some direction on what software do I download, right? Like what is Keepa, what is SellerAmp, like all these different things that we use every single day that are incredibly important to the business. And you kind of gave a nice, easy roadmap to get started. Saved me probably thousands of dollars in mistakes right there.
I have a guy who I'm talking to on Instagram. He's been trying to figure out Amazon FBA on his own for an entire year. Hasn't made even
Yeah.
made a sale, right? And it's like you showed up, you didn't even know this was a thing 5 months ago, and you just profited $5,000 this month, right? And it's like the month's not even
Mm.
over, and now you can really capitalize on those things because you're moving so quickly. And I think that's the real benefits. Like, yes, you have a mentor that you have access to 24/7. So the Zoom calls, they're fine. I'm not a big fan because, like you said, you talk to them once a week. They kind of just, hey, do this, do that, and then you're on your own essentially. With the mentorship, it's like you have access to me daily, but also you just have clarity. Like you know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly what you need to run the business. You know when you need to do it, how to do it, so that there's no guesswork. And when you start to guess too much, you're consuming so much information. A lot of times it leads to overwhelm and it slows down the process.
Yeah, paralysis by analysis, right? You built what I would call a cut and paste system. Follow these steps, and these are the results you will get. The hard part is that you can't make anybody follow the steps. The best you can do is put those steps in front of them and say, "Hey, I'm here to support you and give you the knowledge base. Now you got to go out and get it." And my advice to anybody starting this business, you're an entrepreneur, right? At heart, you need to be willing to wake up in the morning and get after it, not sit around and play video games all day, right? And I think if we went through and we talked to all of your top performers in your course, you'd see the consistency is in their effort and the following the program.
100%. Yeah, I always say like I can show you the door, can't force you to walk through it. I can tell you the recipe,
can't cook the food for you.
Now, if you're tired of being on the YouTube hamster wheel, going from video to video endlessly every single day, and no matter how much time you put in your business, it's not looking the way that you expected, I want you to check out that first link in the description. That's my one-on-one mentorship program where you get to work with me directly and we help you build your business. Now, guys, I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people just like you and I build this business starting from zero. People who have no business experience whatsoever, no technical skills in this space, no e-commerce, never sold a single dollar online. Just like my client Murillo right here, he went from 0 to a 25K month with 6.2K in profit in his first 72 days, starting from nothing. This is Heber. He went from 0 to a 40K month with over 8K in profit in his first 106 days, starting from nothing. Just like Murillo. This is Jose. He went from 0 to a 53K month in 112 days of joining my mentorship program. And these are just a few results. I have hundreds and hundreds of testimonials that have taken my mentorship program. We dive into their business, they get full access to me, and they follow the proven blueprint that leads to results. Guys, there is nothing wrong with trying to do this on your own. But if you value your time and you want to time collapse the learning curve and how long it's actually going to take you to build this business, a mentorship program is a no-brainer. Like, look, this is Dolly. Dolly tried to build this business for 6 months. And over the course of 6 months, she hit 10K in sales total. After 45 days of being in my mentorship program, she hit a 10K month. This is Mark. Mark also tried to build this business for months and months at a time, and he was stuck at about 1,000, 2,000 in sales. After 98 days of being in my mentorship program, he hit a 40K month. Now, we just hit a 12-month period since we've been working together, and he just crossed over $415,000 in sales. Last month alone, he hit just under 11K in profit for his business. So like I said, there's nothing wrong with doing it on your own, but it's definitely going to take you significantly longer, and you're learning lessons the hard way. Instead of learning from my mistakes or the mistakes of the people in the community and learning from the proven blueprint that we offer, you're learning those lessons on your own. And we call them hard lessons learned because it's going to cost you time, it's going to cost you money, it's going to cause you a lot of headache. So if you value your time and you want to time collapse the learning curve significantly, like I said, the mentorship program is a no-brainer. Do you want to take 18 to 24 months to figure this out on your own while we get people squared away in 90 days? The decision's really up to you. But if you guys have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram. I'll leave it linked right here on the screen or down below in the description. And if you guys want to join the mentorship program, grab one of those mentorship spots because they aren't going to be open forever. Go ahead and click that first link in the description and I'd be happy to help you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.